May Meany smiled at the green-scaled alien, gesturing for him to have a seat. His bulbous eyes stared back at her with the kind of mild understanding that only paper pushers could have. "Miss Meany, it is a pleasure to meet you," said the alien's translating device in perfect English. "Dr. Meany, actually," she continued, smiling. "And the pleasure is all mine, Captain. Sir Vervey." He blinked. "You are a healer?" "No, I have a doctorate in economics." Hence why she was working out the kinks of integrating the Earth's economy with the galactic empires. The title of doctor is used for both healers and those who've attained a certain degree of education. "Understood. My apologies." Slurvervy pulled out a thin metal device from his uniform and placed it on the table. "Shall we begin?" "Of course. Now, how do humans exchange goods and services?" The captain tapped the device, and a hologram of the 3 galaxies flickered into existence. After a murmured command in a different sibilant language, the image abruptly changed to that of Earth. "Do note that everything you say will be recorded." May's smile faded slightly. "Well, we usually have a currency." "You have a currency?" he interrupted. "Excellent. That will be much easier to integrate than a barter-based system. What is your currency based on?" It was the doctor's turn to stare. "Based on?" "Yes. What substance backs your currency?" Slurvervy was already tapping away at the holographic keyboard in an unconcerned fashion. "Well," said May, pursing her lips, "we have several currencies, but—" His typing slowed. "That will be more difficult, but it can still be managed. Are they all backed by different substances?" "No, they're—" "Even better. Since Earth has much water, I assume that is what backs it? Or does your kind have a different substance of choice? Hopefully it is a compound or an element. But even if it is not, we can continue regardless." The captain's thin tail thumped once against the table. "They're not backed by anything." He stopped. "What?" "I do not understand. Elaborate." "Most of our currencies are free-floating." He blinked again, this time slowly. "Your money floats." "No, I mean—" She tried to keep the exasperation from her voice. May hadn't expected to explain basic economics to a fellow bureaucrat who managed the intergalactic economy. "Well, we used to have currency backed by gold." "So it is backed by gold. Why did you not say that earlier?" Slurvervy's tail smacked against the floor in relief. The alien went back to typing. "It's not backed by gold anymore. We dissolved that system decades ago." She ran her fingers through her hair. "Now." "But why?" His blinks began to increase in frequency. "If you let me finish, I can explain it to you." She took in a deep breath. "We stopped using the gold standard for several reasons. One being the lack of gold in comparison to the economy. We couldn't control inflation with the amount gold we had." "Then why did you not get more gold?" The hologram zoomed out, showing the asteroid belt. He pointed with his tail. "There is a large amount of gold in the planetoids orbiting your sun. You have had space travel capable of reaching the asteroids for many decades." "Yes, but we had loosened our ties with gold decades before that, and—" May cut herself off. "That's besides the point. I'm sure that you're not interested in a history lesson. Why don't we go back to deciding how our currencies—" "We can't do that without knowing what your currency's worth. What is it based on?" The captain's pupils shrunk slightly. "What is it based on?" he repeated. "It's not based on anything. It floats." "What does it float on?" said Slurvervy helplessly. "What is it based on? What determines its value?" "It doesn't float on anything. It's backed by the government, and the markets determine its value in comparison to other currencies." She gritted her teeth. "Then what does the government base it on?" he hissed. "If the government backs it, then what does the government use to determine the value?" "The government issues the currency, but it doesn't determine the value." May massaged her forehead. "The markets determine the value." "Then what is it based on?" he shouted, leaping to its feet. "It isn't based on anything." May slammed her hands against the table. "It's just paper." The captain relaxed. "Oh, so it is based on paper?" The next 3 minutes of recording showed Dr. May Meany and Captain Slurvervy screaming profanities at each other. The green alien huddled in the corner of the room, shivering in fetal position. "It floats," whimpered Slurvervy. May stood on the table, panting but triumphant. "It floats.